The rugby world is buzzing as the fierce rivalry between South Africa and Ireland heats up once again. And who better to weigh in on this epic clash than former Springbok skipper and World Cup winner John Smit? He recently shared some fascinating insights into what makes this matchup so special. Back in 2007, when Smit lifted the World Cup, Irish rugby was still finding its feet in the professional era. Fast forward to today, and it's a whole different ballgame. Ireland, now led by Andy Farrell, is a powerhouse, heading into their Dublin showdown against Rassie Erasmus's Springboks with a formidable record, having won 4 of their last 5 encounters. This includes a drawn 2-match series in South Africa just this past July. So, what's the secret behind this intense rivalry? According to Smit, it's all about respect. Appearing on the RTE Rugby podcast, he explained that true rivalries are built on a deep earned respect for your opponent. And he has a unique way of measuring it. He said, and I quote, "You can always gauge how strong the rivalry is by how much South African fans hate your team." He quickly clarified this is meant in the most positive way possible, describing the Springbok fans as psychotic in a diplomatic sense. This energy is palpable whenever the Springboks face Ireland. The fans know Ireland is a real threat, a team that's held the #1 spot multiple times, beaten the All Blacks, and won 6 Nations titles. All of this history means that every game is a massive test. Smit loves observing how fans from different nations react when their teams don't perform. He mentioned the absolute panic and pandemonium in New Zealand when the All Blacks are not at their best. He saw similar reactions from Irish supporters after a loss. It's this passionate, almost fanatical support that fuels these great rivalries. Both sides know they can lose, and both sides crave the challenge to see just how good they can be. Remember that nail-biter in the World Cup pool match just over 2 years ago? Ireland edged out South Africa 13-8 in Paris. Of course, the Springboks bounced back in the knockouts to retain their title, while Ireland faced a heartbreaking quarter-final exit against the All Blacks. Before that exit, Ireland was seen as a major contender for the title. While their consistency might have wavered slightly since then, Smit insists they are still a huge challenge, especially playing at home in Dublin. Smit has massive respect for the Irish rugby system, calling it unbelievable. He believes South Africa also has a great system for producing talent, but the Irish model is something special. He points to the 4 provinces and how they carefully manage their players, limiting the number of foreign players in key positions to ensure that Irish talent always has a chance to develop. This system, he notes, was put in place a long time ago and has been producing incredible results ever since. It's a model that's geared entirely towards making the national team stronger, and Smit believes it's one of the most successful and effective systems in the world. He compares this to the South African setup, which he feels is now getting closer to that level of synergy, but acknowledges that Ireland has been operating this way for a very long time. That's why South Africa sees Ireland as such a persistent threat. That's why this Saturday's game is expected to be an epic battle. Smit is clear. If the Springboks don't bring their A game, they could very well lose. The upcoming match in Dublin is one of 2 key tests for the Springboks on their end-of-year tour. It's a game that could derail their season if things go wrong. But there's a silver lining. This tour has given South Africa the chance to blood some new young players and overcome a few challenges along the way. But the real test, the ultimate test, is this weekend. Interestingly, Smit also shared a personal story about his own evolution in thinking. He confessed that when Rassie Erasmus returned to coach the Springboks and proposed picking overseas-based players, he was initially against it. As a member of the South Africa Rugby Board at the time, Smit's old-school mentality made him want to preserve the local competitions. He fondly recalled his early days playing alongside legends like Gary Teichmann and Mark Andrews, who mentored him as a young player. He worried that allowing players to go overseas would weaken the domestic game and deprive young players of that same experience. But now he's ready to eat his words. Looking back at the incredible success of the Erasmus era, he admits he was wrong. He sees the huge positives. Allowing top players to compete in the best clubs in France, Japan, and England has made them better. They've learned different tactics, experienced different coaching styles, and gained a global perspective on the game. These players then bring that knowledge back to the Springboks. There's also a huge financial benefit. With fewer big names on the local payroll, it takes a massive burden off SA Rugby, and crucially, it opens up more spots in domestic competitions for younger players to get exposure. The average age of players in the URC and Currie Cup has dropped dramatically, creating a new pipeline of talent. Smit does acknowledge a downside. The Currie Cup, he admits, isn't the same prestigious competition it was 20 or 30 years ago. That's the negative byproduct of this new policy. But the overall benefits for the national team have been undeniable. So, as we gear up for this weekend's clash, we have two rugby nations at the peak of their powers, with deeply effective systems and a rivalry forged in mutual respect and intense competition. It's a testament to how far both nations have come. From Smit's early days to the modern era, the South Africa-Ireland rivalry has evolved into one of the most compelling stories in world rugby. What are your predictions for the big game? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more rugby analysis. Catch you in the next one.